Northern Star Mills offers natural and organic soil amendments and fertilizers, as well as natural and holistic pet supplies. Northern Star Mills is located in downtown Chico, across from the Bidwell Mansion. Hey everyone, this is going to be Right On Air, and if you would like to submit or ask questions or comments, anything related with the show, you can email me at write.onair@gmail.com. That is WRITE.onair@gmail.com. And tonight we have a live guest with us. His name is Phil Elkins. He has done LA Sounds for a while on Wednesday 3 to 5, just before my show and just before Sue's. How are you doing, Phil?
Real good, real good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much.
No problem. This is going to be great.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
So let me exit all my stuff here.
Okay.
And you were on earlier today, right?
3 to 5 every Wednesday.
3 to 5 every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's kind of fortuitous. I was walking in to grab a show from a few weeks ago, and I ran into you and Nancy.
Yeah, just met him last week.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, do you do any writing? And he was like, I do some writing, so now we're here. It should be pretty fun. And you were telling me before the show that this is published?
I published it on Amazon Kindle, and I have a friend who's a professional writer, and he says, hey, let's get it on hard copy, because a lot of people say, hey, well, I want to read it hard copy. I don't want to read it on Kindle. So anyway, we're working on it, and I'm bringing a chapter to that right now.
Cool. And
go ahead.
And the next logical step was to come on a radio show.
Absolutely, yeah. Anyway, so the name of the book is Running from the Fire. It's about me growing up in East LA, and how I survived that, growing up with cholos and a lot of different struggles, and then getting drafted and sent in Vietnam and surviving Vietnam as a medic with the first cav.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, this is a chapter 2. I don't know if you want me to get started. You want to ask me some more questions first?
Let me think. Well, it's an honor to have you on the show, and I know this piece is kind of long, so I think we'll just jump into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is chapter 2 from Running from the Fire, trying to catch up. And I talk about different people, and the names have been changed because I used to read stuff with the real names, and somebody called me up and said, you better ask if it's okay to mention their names. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So I changed the names. Anyway, in the 5th grade, I had 2 white friends, David and Andy. David was smart and even ahead of the class. His mother helped him with his homework, and although he didn't care much for school either, he did pretty well enough to be bored. David lived on the next block. He was the only other Jewish kid in the class who would talk to me, so we became best friends. David had a lot of confidence and charisma, and naturally allowed him to decide what we did. Sometimes we'd go fishing in Lincoln Park in East LA and just bring some fishing lines, some hooks, and bread dough, and we'd catch a surprising amount of fish, strange little prickly things that would poke your hands to bleeding from their fins. I think they were called bluegills. We'd catch like 50 of them, just throw in the line, and it's a lot of fun. And, we caught these fish, just toss it in, and here comes another fish. So all we had to do, this is kind of fun, but I never really fished before. But anyway, after we caught a whole bunch of fish, pretty soon, I think we were all starving, we just tossed them on the concrete there, and when we got bored, we'd look at the disgusting pile of dead fish on the cement and then throw them all back in the lake and watch them float away on the surface of the water. Somehow that was fun. We'd ride out on our bikes looking at the floating fish and laugh and happily go our way back home for supper. But I guess the ducks were happy too, because they got supper as well. So one day at school, David had the idea of going home for lunch. But we're not supposed to go home for lunch, I said meekly. Well, we'll be back in plenty of time, he says. How long does it take to get back? Only a few minutes if we hurry, he says. So we went home. We ate at my house. Wow, to be home when you're supposed to be in school. Really neato. I thought, well, then as 1 o'clock approached, I said, isn't it time to get back now? Oh, we got plenty of time, David said. At 3 minutes to 1, I panicked, a normal condition for me. How are we going to get back in time now for school? I asked. He says, hell with school. Let's ditch. Ditch? What's ditch? I asked, puzzled. Ditch is when you're supposed to be in school, but you don't go, he informed me. But what about a note for tomorrow? He says, why worry about tomorrow today? So for some reason or other, it made sense to me. So we ditched. We went to the railroad tracks and put rocks on the tracks for the freight trains to turn into sand. Amazingly, The rush of hundreds of tons of speeding steel would smash perfectly good hard rocks right down into sand. Wow, exciting. I put some pennies on the tracks and watched them turn into very thin, elongated copper foils that only slightly resembled their former shape and life of pennies. If you looked really hard, you could see the smashed up face of Lincoln and the printed words, "In God We Trust," contorted all out of shape. I thought that was pretty neat. So I found some nails and I put them on the tracks, and the nails, they turned into fabulous little swords, and more rocks in the sand. And suddenly I felt all powerful, ditching school and turning hard rocks into sand and throwing rocks at the birds and into the mud puddles and into the bushes, and hoping the hobos weren't hiding in there or being daring enough to not even care. Oh, not caring. I like this new experience of not caring. I began throwing rocks at the trains as they sped by. I even tried to hit the cabooses as they raced by. "Hey, David, look at this. I'm a damn good shot. Hit the window," you know. And I happened by a railroad spike made for holding a huge wooden ties into place that held the tracks in line and onto the railroad tracks. And it worked its way out of the ground after years of trains passing by. Wow, it's heavy. I bet if I put this big old heavy spike on the tracks, it will turn into a real sword. I put it on the tracks, and just like clockwork, within a few minutes, along came another freight train. With a lot of excitement and anticipation, along with the noise, exhaust, dust, and force of the train, came an unexpected bump, real loud. I saw the train lift up off the tracks and slam down hard into the dirt to make the ground shake. The train was derailed right off its tracks. And luckily it didn't come off entirely where it belonged and crashed down upon us, smashing us to smithereens. We were standing and watching it from the lower ground beside the tracks. It looked like a toy train the way it bounced up at least a foot off the ground and slammed down with a tremendous force. It knocked us both down, and just a few feet away from the engine, flying through the air. It seemed to be staying there for a long time in slow motion. Next thing I know, I'm running as fast as I ever run in my life. I got away. David, however, smarter and well-schooled, did not. He got caught. I don't think I slept well that night. I think I told my mother that I got sick at school, so I came home for lunchtime. I needed a note. The real concern on my mind, though, was visualizing the police coming for me any second. So no, I didn't sleep well that night. David, he didn't come to school the next day or the day after that either. I sweated it out alone. 3 or 4 days later, I momentarily forgot about the derailing and found myself on David's block. I habitually knocked on his front door. His mother answered the door, saying, "Oh, just the boy we want to see." I panicked, as usual, and felt like running home, but before I could, David's mother said, "There's somebody here who wants to talk to you." Chills ran down my back. A large man wearing a dark suit and a hat came out and said, "So you're Philip?" Yeah. "So you're the boy who talked David into playing hooky and going down to the railroad tracks and knocking the train off the tracks?" Wait a minute. Do you know we could hold you for attempted murder if that train was knocked over?" You, Philip, what's your last name? Elkins, Elvis? Elkins," I muttered. "That's it, Elkins. You, Philip Elkins, could be held responsible for the taking of those 2 men's lives. You could have killed them both." How I kept from crapping my pants that day, I don't know. I'm amazed that no one else has ever figured out how to knock a train off its tracks using the method, that I never heard about it. Anyway, I claimed ignorance and innocence. Guilt, however, I did feel. Guilt for being stupid, guilt for letting David talk me into ditching school. And when I was all I wanted to do was, I was confused. Let's see, what am I doing there? I just wanted to be a good boy, and, some things are hard to learn. Anyway, Andy, my other friend, was a big kid, a teddy bear-like kid. He was what other people thought of as less than bright, but I liked him a lot. He was the biggest kid in the class, and you know what that meant. He was my insurance policy, because I was a little skinny kid with glasses, and he would say, "If anybody messes with you, I'll take care of them." So I helped Andy feel good about himself. He made me sure nobody bothered me. A nice symbiotic relationship. Andy's parents were poor. he had the odd situation having no father at home. And in the 50s, that wasn't all that common. Andy never had any money to go anywhere or do anything. He was, however, always available to play with me and have fun with me. Andy was even more daredevil than I was, or my brother was. Andy hated school more than I did. I thought school was important because my friends thought school was important. My parents thought they were important. But Andy's parents were totally unavailable for him. His mother sat and watched soap operas all day, and we'd walk by the house, look into the uncovered windows, and see cheap furniture and unkept children, like a scene from another world, which I guess it was. I liked Andy because he was a sweet person. He was sensitive and tender. He didn't do well in school, which put me at ease, knowing that I wasn't the only one with that problem. But mostly he liked me, and he was gentle, kind-hearted, and obviously needed a friend. We couldn't wait for the end of the day to be over to go out and explore the factories out by the railroad tracks. I stayed away from putting anything on the tracks again, but I did like the open space and seeing the tracks going into the distant horizon down to Burlake Creek, a long mile or so down the tracks. We'd go to Burlake Creek, catch frogs, explore the swamp-like areas, smell the wildlands. It was fun and exciting, and a million miles from both our home problems. We'd play war with BB guns and throw rocks and climb trees and go skinny dipping. It was always interesting to see who was at the swimming hole. Sometimes nobody, which I liked the best. Other times, a big crowd of people. They're diving off the rocks and yelling and splashing around. One time, Andy and I were surprised to see some unusual, rough-looking characters that spoke with funny accents and used a lot of slang words and unrecognizable expressions. Later, when I described them to my father, he called them pachucos. He told me to stay away from them because they'd hurt a little white boy like me. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I took it with a grain of salt like I did. Learned to do everything, pretty much everything my father said. Andy used to talk about going back east to see the world. I had no desire to leave home for any reason. Andy talked about joining the Marines. That thought gave me chills. The last time I saw Andy, several years later, after he broke into my house and stole my BB gun, my comic books, my firecrackers, excuse me, was in the 12th grade in high school. It was long after he moved away from East L.A. for getting into trouble for burglary and theft. And when he came back to see me, it was good to see him. He was older, larger version of the kid I once knew. Andy said he was leaving the week after graduation to join the Marines, as he always promised himself he'd do. That was 1964. Years later, like 1987, when I happened to be in Washington, D.C. with my girlfriend Debbie, I found Andy's name on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall. Somehow, I just knew it was going to be there. I could still see his sweet face, bright and smiling at me mischievously as we ran out of class together at the end of the school day.
Wow, we've got a lot to unpack here. When I wrote a note when I was younger, I lived near the railroad tracks as well, and my mom and I and my dad used to put pennies on the tracks.
Oh, yeah.
So that's super familiar.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But my mom forbade me from putting anything bigger on the tracks, and now I see why.
Oh, God, I wish I was forbade. You know? I didn't know. I put rocks, turned down the sand. I thought, wow, that's how sand is made, you know.
Beautiful, and then something slightly bigger.
Hey, look at this, a spike. Whoa, that'd make a big sword. I had no idea, really. Yeah. I'm lucky I didn't get in more trouble than I was.
No kidding. That could have been an actual disaster.
God. Oh, no, it could have been.
Yeah, was, but could have been worse.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I was just an innocent, dumb kid. I didn't know, you know. I didn't want to ditch school anyway.
Yeah, it's all David's fault.
Yeah. He said, hey,
and then he blamed you.
Yeah, he blames me, right. Yeah. I talked him into playing hooky and going to knock a train off the tracks, right.
Oh, man. Phil, I like your writing style because it is so casual.
Oh, thank you.
There's kind of a, like, we just started it, and it just felt like listening to someone chatting about their life, which is, I think, a genuine plus for this story.
Oh,
because it needs to come from that spot. Otherwise, it doesn't really have the same emotional context for it. Wow.
Well, what happened was my mom died, and then my dad died 4 months later. I was going through a divorce. I was a single parent. My business was going down, and I just thought, okay, this would be good therapy. And I just started writing. And I did it every day for hours at a time. And I didn't know what to do with it. But then when I found out Amazon would publish it, I thought, okay, cool. But now, like I said, my friend, who knows how to really get a nice hard copy. He's a good editor and everything. So that's what I'm working with to get it into a hard copy.
How long is the book?
You know, I actually wrote 4 different books, and
Cool.
this is chapter 2, and I think it's probably 45 chapters or something, because it starts and it goes into getting drafted and sent to Vietnam as a medic and surviving that. And then the next book is called Coming Home from the War,
Wow.
and it's about dealing with coming back into civilian life. And the third one is called Shadow Man. It's about dealing with PTSD. And the last one is about raising children as a single dad. It's called Nadia and Rihanna at Daddy's House, because, you know, I had them half-time, full-time for half-time. Yeah.
So wait, I'll rewind a bit. So the name of the first book is
Running from the Fire.
Running from the Fire, and the second book?
The second book is Coming Home from the War.
Coming Home from the War.
The third book is Shadow Man.
Shadow Man. And there was how many more?
One more.
One more.
And actually, I'm writing another one, but I haven't finished it. But the last one is about raising children as a single father, called Nadia and Rihanna, with my children, at Daddy's House. And, you know, it was just therapy, really. It was just therapy. And I was shocked that people liked it, you know. And really, I find it as therapeutic, you know. Because you probably write yourself, right?
Yeah. And it's been something that I write in times when I need to
Mm-hmm.
help myself a little bit.
Do you ever read your writing on the show?
I have a couple times when people have not submitted and I need something to fill the air. And
Yeah,
a
sure,
few
you
people
should.
have called me out to put it on there, but I usually
Oh,
don't
really?
tell
They
the
call you out?
world that it's my name.
No. You know, I mean, I'm sure, you know, just meeting you a week ago and getting to know you a little bit, you seem like a terrific young man. And
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure you have some great stories to tell.
I am planning to be writing more.
I'm
I'll say
glad.
that much. Yeah.
I'm
a
glad.
little bit tight right now on time with a couple new jobs, but eventually that's my plan I want to put some stuff out there.
Well, I want to be following you, you know. I want to see what you're up to, you know.
I want to buy some copies of this book.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. And
fabulous. I
next
can't wait.
pledge drive, which, by the way, to segue on there, thank
Oh,
you for
yeah.
everyone who donated. We really appreciate this.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
It allows me to meet people like Phil and have a good conversation
Oh,
about
sure.
an amazing story.
It is terrific to have somebody like you on the station, you know, doing a show, because, you know, I come in and do my show. I see the person before me, the person after me. I don't know who else is here. Once in a while we have a meeting, and I say, oh, who's that? Oh, that who that is? Oh, that's who that is. But I would have never met you, except last week you came in after my show to pick up something,
Yeah.
and it was like, ah, what a cool dude. And I remember saying
Oh,
to him,
thanks.
hey, you know, I got a daughter.
And I have a girlfriend.
That's what he said. He made it real clear. So if his girlfriend's tuning in, he made it real clear. He's got a girlfriend. And he's obviously in love with her. I could tell by how he talks about her.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
no,
know so.
I know.
I won't say I
and
think.
I hope she loves you as well as you love her.
She does.
Right.
I want to ask you, though. Go ahead.
No, go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm
So we talked a little bit about writing being therapeutic.
yes.
So we have a good amount of time left.
Right.
Tell me a little bit, some advice on what you would tell people for writing who are in hard places.
You know, for me, I was going through a lot of depression. It was after the Army, after Vietnam, after going through a couple divorces and being a single parent. And, you know, trying to get in touch with your feelings. You know, it's good to see a shrink. I've seen plenty of shrinks. But it's good to write down, because when you read it later, it's like, oh, it's so obvious what you were feeling. Oh, God. But you don't realize why you're feeling it unless you write it down and you look at it later. It's like, oh, there. And it seems to really make sense, because at the time it's kind of just jumbled up in your head. But if you get it down on print or on paper and like, oh, yes. And really, when I wrote this, sometimes I look at it and said, oh, I didn't realize I wrote that. It's like I wrote that, you know, like, you know, because you go on, you go on with your life with new struggles instead of what you were struggling with at the time. And, you know, I kept journals for years, and, you know, people say, well, that's good therapy too, you know, as well as exercise, jogging, and having friendships and counseling. But writing, for me, I really did enjoy it. And I've known people that hate writing. My brother, I'll tell you what, I have an older brother, 10 years older, named Bob. Actually, he just passed away about 5 months ago. And he's been there all my life, you know, and now he's gone. But he said, hey, look, he's 10 years older. Let's write a book together. You write your part. We'll alternate chapters.
Oh,
And in the end, will tie it together. We were brothers, grew up in the same household with the same parents. We had completely different lives. And so I said, okay, here's my 3-4 chapters. You know what he said to me? I don't like writing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what he said. Typical Bob.
Yeah, to each their own, I suppose. So another one then, it is therapeutic,
Mm-hmm.
and you said it kind of lets you see what is in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
Unpack that a little bit more on how that works.
Well, you know, yeah, you gonna get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I realize is you have all these emotions, and they can be very confusing at times, and it's difficult to figure out what you're feeling. And if you write it down, it's like concrete on paper, and really, like you look at it even a few days later, or it could be years later. It's like, oh damn, that's what that was all about. Yeah. So it's really, I mean, because I've seen counselors and shrinks for years, and this is every bit as good. Writing for me, what you're going through, the struggles, the pain, the loss, the love, the happiness, the excitement, your hopes and dreams, and looking at it, it's like, oh, you understand yourself better.
You understand yourself better.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Uh-huh.
period
Yeah.
after that sentence. I think that you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah. So, I'm sure you got other questions. But,
Yeah.
But, I grew up in East LA, which is the largest Latino neighborhood outside, when I grew up, outside of Mexico City. And so, I wanted to fit in. So I dressed and act like a cholo. I walked like a cholo. I talked like a cholo. I did everything, and even got some East LA tattoos on, on my arm. And I wanted to fit in. But, all these years later, I still have some of those friends, the ones that are left. And I realized, they're still doing the same damn thing in East LA. It's like, really? Really? And I moved on, and I don't know how that happened, but like Nancy, my girlfriend back here, I met her online, and she had such a different experience. She grew up in LA, but she grew up in San Fernando Valley. I grew up in East LA, completely different experience. And she went all the way through school. She went to Cal Berkeley. She went to UCLA. She got her doctorate, And, I'm lucky I went to East LA College and made it through that, Cal State LA, But it's just, my whole life changed. And I realized, I'm looking back at my friends that I grew up with, and my best friend got killed 40 years ago, and my girlfriend as well got killed when I was 15, and the most of them are still down there, and like I see them once in a while, and you still, it's like no time has passed, but they look different.
Yeah.
I don't. I look the same,
No change at all.
I don't know what happened. My hair turned different color, but otherwise, no, man. It's been really exciting and fun, and I would encourage anybody to do it. I have friends that, I will. I don't really like writing. It's like, hey, it's fun. I like it. You probably feel the same way.
I feel a lot of people don't like writing initially, because that, in my opinion, is probably the hardest part, is the starting. And then once you've kind of found either a voice or a topic or some sort of theme that you're going for, and you start to see how you're able to shape where that's going, it becomes a lot more addictive.
Oh yeah, it is. I as a matter of fact, I'm all excited about putting this into a hard copy, because I published it like on Amazon and it's on Kindle, but now I'm editing it and going over it and picking out pictures and looking at it. It's like, okay, I better change that, and let's look at that. And I'm compelled to do it. I can't believe. I do everything. I do my radio show. I've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
I teach a couple of guitar classes, but I'm compelled to keep writing.
I said addicted. I think I like the word compelled more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple other questions.
Go ahead. No, please. Go
Out
ahead.
of the 4 books you've written so
Right.
far, was there one that really stuck out to you that you thought, wow, I see where I've changed the most after writing this book from before to after?
Probably the first book, Running from the Fire, because I talk about my early childhood and how painful it was, and all the people I knew and grew up with and I loved. And And then I look at my life today, just like I've changed so much. And even just doing this with you right now, I know none of my friends are doing anything like this or doing the things I'm doing or have done the things I've done. And, I talk a lot to Nancy about getting drafted and being in Vietnam. And she always asks me questions about it. But for a long time, even my wife wouldn't ask me one question about Vietnam, And she, matter of fact, I had a Vietnam veteran sticker on my car and it said, Vietnam veteran. And she said, why do you have that thing on your car? It's like, right? So, but now, Nancy talks about it she thinks it must have matured me a lot. I never felt like that, but she always says, you must have really matured a lot. And, maybe so, but I'm not aware of it. But
And that's all in one of the books, right?
Yeah.
Experience.
Oh, yeah. No. The first book is, I worked on it. And then, I just didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
And I just kept going and talking about later on in my life, having relationships that were less than successful and having children and being a single dad. And that's why I wrote the book about raising children as a single dad, Nadia and Rihanna at Daddy's house, because, I think I learned more about life, raising my children. You got it coming. I mean, sure.
Possibly.
Oh, no, I'm sure you're good. No. Well, young people today, I don't know how they feel about having kids because my daughters, they haven't had kids. My son has. It wasn't planned, but he's got twin 4-year-old
beautiful.
The girls. Oh, my God. They're so cute. They are so cute. But no, I just really excited. And really, it was like, wow, Kevin Cook, he asked me to be on the show. We just met, it's like, but no, you could ask me whatever else.
Yeah, I got two things to say because we
Go
only
ahead.
have a couple minutes left here. First one is we'll talk more at some point after this, but we have got to get a lot more of this
Okay.
on the air. So I'm thinking there'll be some repeat shows,
I'm looking forward to it.
possibly for all the books. Maybe make it
Yeah,
an installment.
I'm excited as
because
hell.
this is pure gold
Oh,
in my
man,
opinion.
you just made my day, man.
And
You
two, for people who are avoidant to writing,
Right.
what would you tell them?
Just sit down. It's going to come out. People say, I don't know what to write. You're looking at a blank piece of paper. The first thought that comes to your head, just write it down. And it just starts flowing. It's not like it's magic or anything. It just is there. You have a lot to say about your life, about people, about yourself, and it'll just come out. And you don't have to worry about it being in a certain format or being exactly
Style,
No, you
anything.
don't have to worry about that. Just write it down, and you could rewrite it. What they say is writing is rewriting.
Edit, lots of editing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I would highly encourage it because to me, like I said, I am compelled. I'm excited about it. I've done a lot of fun, interesting things in my life, but what I'm compelled to do is this, because other people like to travel or whatever, but
And you can travel and write too, so.
oh yeah, that's fun too. No. So no, I think it's a creative outlet, and it's like plus other people want to read it, including your children. I think one of these days my children will read it. I don't know.
We'll just have them listen to the radio show and we'll read the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm so excited. Thank you, man. What a pleasure to meet you, man. Really.
Likewise, Phil.
The
Seriously.
fact that you do this is such a brilliant idea.
I think people don't talk enough about lots of things. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And this is a fantastic medium to get people to talk about things, especially through writing.
Brilliant idea, really. I didn't even know about it. You say you've been doing it for 2.5 years. Like, really? Never heard of it.
I get my inspiration from Frasier.
Yeah, well, you do a good job. Really? No. So, I don't know how you want to tie up the show.
Yeah. Well,
Whatever.
Phil, again, okay, so run through the 4 names of the books and where to
Okay.
get them.
Okay, so Running from the Fire is the first book. It is on Amazon Kindle, and it's under the name of Philip I. Elkins.
Philip I. Elkins.
Yes, Philip I. Elkins, 2 L's, Philip I. Elkins. And the second one is Coming Home from the War,
Coming Home from the
also
War.
Philip I. Elkins. The third one is Shadow Man, dealing with PTSD. And the last one is Nadia and Rihanna at Daddy's house about being a single dad raising daughters.
Raising daughters. Wow.
No, it's so much fun. No, so I mean, really, I'm just really happy that I met you and you said, hey.
I'm happy you said yes to come on the show, because I've had people go, radio sounds terrifying.
Oh,
This is fantastic.
I've been doing it for years, so
Nothing intimidating. No one gets to look at us.
I mean, it's like, okay, first you think, okay, yeah, you get mic shy, but
oh no, 30 minutes goes by so quick. People are calm by minute 2, in my opinion. And
absolutely.
So first off, Phil, thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you,
fantastic.
Kevin. Well, I'm thrilled. Thank you so much.
And if you want to comment on any of Phil's work or submit your own or be part of the show or any comments or anything, you can submit to me at write.onair@gmail.com, write.onair@gmail.com. This has been Right On Air, which is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters and by Dr. Ken Logan, family practitioner. Ken believes in the importance of community radio and encourages other members of the medical community to join the KZFR underwriting family. That's Dr. Ken Logan, family practitioner. And again, this was Phil Elkins. He does LA Sounds, Wednesday 3 to 5, LA Sounds.
Right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much.